I just want to welcome in Harris Sultan as well. Welcome all the way from Oz. Harris, how are you?
I'm very good, thank you. A very interesting conversation going on, and you guys are doing a great job. And I think I feel bad for it's Samir. I believe he is. He's
Yes.
Probably the only guy on the panel trying to give different types of apologetics. But the one that I keep hearing, and that's why I thought I'll just come in and wouldn't take too much of your time and just drop a one-liner in there. He keeps saying that, well, it was common back in those days, and it had to be removed step by step. Well, that is some step by step, that it took almost 1400 years to get rid of slavery. But having said that, slavery was not the only thing that was common at that time. So was sex, free sex was common, gambling was common, drinking was common. But Muhammad had no problem in outlawing them pretty quickly. He did drinking in probably a couple of steps, but within his lifetime, he did it, probably because he didn't enjoy the taste of alcohol. Maybe that's why he was so quick in doing that, but he didn't show such urgency when it came to slavery. So that is a pretty poor argument, that it was common, that's why it had to be removed step by step. And I think Christians use the same argument as well, which is pathetic. So anyway, that was my one-liner in that.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think Stops has brought that up as well, where it's a case of, he outlawed pork and other things almost immediately, but seemingly this couldn't. And we know there's an apologetic for this. Stops, you've been very quiet, unusually quiet. Do you want to come in with something?
No, I'm okay. I think this is absolute nonsense. To say that there is one sentence in the Quran which says you should free slaves, like this is what I opened with, okay? This is what I said in the beginning. Yes, there is a sentence in the Quran which says it is quite nice of you if you do free slaves. But then there are dozens of others. And I will just give you one example here, which I look at 1675. Like, if you talk about slaves, a man on whom we have bestowed goodly favors are the two equal? By no means. Okay, they are not equal. Now, the funny thing is that if you look at what God does, God findeth any good, he will give you something better that he's taken. He will. No, sorry, where was it? But it has.
You're doing it too fast. Stop. Slower. People are not. It's difficult to keep up with you. You obviously know what you're talking about. I've brought up 1675 on screen here because you're going so fast. Say it again, if you would.
Okay. If they're talking about slaves, okay, and then at the end it says, a man on whom we have bestowed goodly favors, and then it asks, are the two equal? By no means. And this is and it says here, okay, let's take Pickfall, for example, one on whom we have bestowed a fair provision and he's planning to receive. Are they equal? No, they're not. So I don't understand what the argument is. And the other one,
I'm not sure.
3350.
Hang on one second, let me get there. I'm not sure if he was arguing they were equal, was he? Or maybe he was, and I missed that.
Well, this was the point with equality. And if you go to 3350,
okay.
you will see that this is exactly the opposite of what Samir was saying, because it says that, O Prophet, we have made lawful for thee thy wives and where you've paid the money, and those whom thy right hand possesses, of those where Allah has given to you as spoils of war. So how can a God say, well, you need to free the slaves? Here are some slaves. I'm giving you some slaves, but you need to free them. That doesn't make sense.
Okay, so
can I just jump in, please? Can I jump in?
Yes, I was going to come to you now. So you've heard some of the challenges here. So maybe you can answer a couple of those. I'll give you 3 minutes to respond, and nobody else will interrupt you. So give me 1 second. Let me just bring up my timer here, and then you've got 3 minutes, Samir, just to whatever you can respond to. You don't have to obviously try and respond to everything, and the fact that you don't doesn't mean that the point has been made. Just I'll give you 3 minutes. Over to you. Go.
Okay, thank you so much. I think I have to give you one verse because it is very important for us to understand the way that the Muslim scholars are always trying to interpret Quran, because I think that here the majority of you, with all my respect for you, you don't understand the methodology of how the Muslim scholars try to interpret Islam and Quran specifically. Let's just take the Al-Imran 3:7. Al-Imran 3:7, you can have it in your screen if you want.
What is it? Sorry, 3 verse 7.
Wow, 3 verse 7, yes.
Okay, I'm going to bring it up.
3:7, yes.
Hang on 1 second for me.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
it is He who has sent down to you, O Muhammad, the book. In it are verses that are precise, that are the foundation of the book, and other unspecific. As for those in those hearts is deviation from truth, they will follow that of it which is unspecific, seeking discord and seeking an interpretation suitable to them. And no one knows its true interpretation except Allah. But those firm in knowledge say, we believe in it. All of it is from our Lord, and no one will be reminded except those of understanding. So I think my brother Stop is always trying to interpret verses like he wants. You can do that. You can do that for you, for yourself, and for the people who think like you. But if you want to have a good discussion with the Muslim man, you have to understand that you have to start from a point of agreement. And the point of agreement is how the Muslim are interpreting the religion, because you are not a Muslim. You cannot force a Muslim to go with you in your interpretation and your definition. It is not true like that, my brother. Okay. For example, for me, if I want to talk about Christians, I have to go to Christians and to understand what Christian says about their religion, and I start a discussion with them from them, not from my point of depart. If I want to, if it is correct, okay. So that's one. Two, about the ethic about the women in wars. It's true that we are not, and this man give you the page from this book. We are not allowed in Islam because we have some war ethics, and I think if you compare the war ethics between the Muslims at that time, 400 ago, and the ethics of the Americans in Hiroshima and Nagasaki and Hiroshima, and Americans in Iraq, and Americans in Afghanistan, and Americans, and Israel in Palestine, you will find a huge difference. So in that level, we are more advanced than the US and all the human rights and all of that, because we are seeing what the Americans are doing now for the rest of humanity. They can everybody, my brother. Okay, so old women and childs and every Muslim people. So it is very big. Okay, and even for the man who said that if it is a leader, a woman leader, but at that time the leaders are all males; they are not females. Okay, so in Islam we are not allowed to kill a female woman, so we have to take her because it is for her interest. It is for her interest, my brother.
Okay, good. You've made that. I've given you 3 minutes there uninterrupted. So I'd like to bring in other people who are on the spot. I'm just going to say one quick thing. You can go in next, why? Bringing up other cultures like America, etc., Samira, is not going to help your case, number one. But number two, we've also got to look at intent. If you can claim, or if you could show that America is intentionally bombing or killing innocent people on purpose, then you would have a point. The burden of proof is hugely on you to prove that's the case. You can infer it's the case, etc., but you've got to prove that America's going out there and intentionally killing civilians indiscriminately, and I think that's a huge burden that would be very difficult for you to do. Okay, why? Please, why religious? Respond to what his criticisms in that 3 minutes, please.
Earlier I brought. Well, I mean, I just want to cover what I brought up earlier because somebody in the chat said that what I said wasn't correct. So what I was saying was 171 of the Quran states that, "O you who have believed, prescribed for you is legal retribution for those murdered, free for the free, the slave for the slave, and the female for the female." Then you go to the Q Tafsir where it says the reason behind this is because the two Jewish tribes before Islam, they battled, and then after that one of the tribes would go over and kill another person, and retaliation was only the pay of 100 dates. So this verse was revealed to stop that. Now, when you think about it as in battle, killing women, Muhammad didn't have a lot of battles. He had a lot of night raids, and there's plenty of hadiths that do say, I'm looking at one, he disapproved of the killing of women and children. Just meaning he disapproved doesn't mean, and then there's one that says he forbade the killing. Yet if you go down just a little bit more,
sorry, okay, we've lost you again. I don't know if you're trying to speak now.
Are ones that say, that are Sahih, that say Muhammad forbade the killing of women and children, but also it says we killed the children of the polytheists during the night raids. He said they are from them. So he didn't completely outlaw the killing of women and children in battle, because you got to think Muhammad's battles were mostly night raids, or they were caravan raids. Okay. It was only a few times, like the Battle of Badr, and then you have the Battle of the Trench. You have these that are actually specified, but the vast majority of Muhammad's fightings came from raiding people.
Okay, good. Okay.
Okay. Once again, I appreciate y'all letting me on. I have to get to work. It's always a pleasure. Y'all allow me to have my time to stay on here.
Alrighty. Thanks so much. Take care.
Is
Thank
there
you.
room to respond to this? Rob?
Yes, a liberal, yourself, and then we'll have Harris if he'd like to join, or Stops, and then we'll bring in Samir again afterwards. So go ahead.
Okay, so I love to comment on Islamic's war ethic on women, right? That was the topic that he raised. So are you seeing my screen right now?
No, it's black at the moment.
Okay, maybe someone else can talk. Yeah, I can wait to just get this sorted out.
Okay. Harris, I'll bring you in for the moment. Do you want to add anything from what you've heard there?
No, that's wonderful. I'm actually enjoying this very
Okay.
deep intellectual conversation, so I'm enjoying
I
listening
did
to it
see you
more.
go get a cup of coffee there, so your
Yeah,
screen was on
I
and you
missed
popped
it
off to
out.
get some coffee. That's all good. Okay, you're back there, liberal. Okay, I can see your
Is it
screen.
working? Okay, so you asked for evidence when you were speaking to our Muslim friend here. So I'll provide evidence here. So according to the
Just
Quran
make it a
chapter,
bit bigger if you can. It's quite small.
according to Quran chapter 2, verse 190, Tafsir Qurtubi, you see here, if you go down to page number 491, you see the following: women, you should not touch them, but if they fight you, then they should be fought. Are you guys seeing this?
Yes, we are.
So
Yep.
this is Quran chapter 2, verse 190, Tafsir Qurtubi. And here's one example. Have you guys heard about Khalifa?
Yes, we're getting nods there.
Have you heard about her?
Yeah.
Khalifa is an enemy of Muhammad. And the way that they killed her is basically going against everything that we hear our Muslim friend here speaking about. Here is how they killed her. They basically took her and tied her legs and her arms and took 2 camels and drove those camels on the opposite side and basically sliced her. This is the way that they killed her. So I would ask my Muslim friend here, you said that this is not allowed in Islam. They should not kill women. How would you respond to this? And it says here in front of you that she was a very old woman. And I have a picture here that is just a drawing. But this is what this one would look like if you would have this in reality. You would... Sorry?
No, sorry. I just got very quick input on that as well. Like, yeah, Khalifa was obviously she was a enemy combatant, but also Asma bint Marwan is another example of a woman being killed at the direct orders of Muhammad.
Yeah, that's true. So that's a good point. I think I mentioned that earlier, but that needs to be clear that she was an enemy. So this is how she was killed. And to not be too dramatic, this is how ISIS chose to kill them. So they might be inspired, but that's how far I'm willing to go. So thank you.
Okay, great. So we'll pass on to Samir. I'm going to leave your screen up there, shared up. Samir, you've heard the response there from the liberal guy. Do you want to respond to what he said?
About slavery, I told you that if Islam was about encouraging slavery, that's one. The men who are given the definition of Qurtubi, you just taken one scholar who tried to interpret the Quranic verses. So in Islam, because you know that very well, we know the ijma, the consensus of the Muslim scholarship, the Muslim scholars. So when you talk about specific thing in Islam, if one tells something, the other one tells something, the other one tells something, we have to go to the consensus of the Muslim scholars. So this is not an argument at all, because in the consensus of the Muslim scholars, we do all know, and it is very clear for the Muslim people, that we don't have the right to kill a woman in a war. That's one. And two, the women who are... Let me just give you an example. You can compare between what the Muslim did in that time and what did the Russians do after the Second World War with the German women, for example. They was raped and they were killed, and a huge massacre against the German women. So you can compare between this ethic side in the Islam in that time, 1400 ago, compare it to just 100 ago, or compare it to right now. We are more advanced in our ethical of wars than you Americans and then the Western countries. And the reality is talking about that. That's one. Two, about slavery, I told you about that, that if you want to prove that Islam is about having slaves, you have to prove that Islam does not have any verse who talk about the freeing of slaves. The fact that Islam is talking about freeing of slaves, so he is encouraging the freeing of slaves. It is very clear. It is very clear. So the only thing that you can prove with it, that Islam is about having slaves, is to prove that Islam is not, there is nothing in Islam, in Hadith or in Quran, which talk about freeing slaves. Unless you cannot prove that, you are losing your claim, my dear brother.
No. Okay. Thank you, Samir. All right. I want to bring in Harris or the Liberal or Stops. Can you respond to that, please? Any of you guys?
Okay, I'll go first. This is going to be very quick. Just because there is one sentence does not negate all the other sentences that we have condoning slavery. So what you are saying is absolute, total, utter rubbish, where you are saying as soon as we find one sentence in the Quran that goes against it, all the others fall away, and I'm taking this one to mean what I want, and all the others I'm going to ignore. That's
okay.
I'm going to say, Samir, that whatever you just said, don't say in front of real Muslims, what we call, because you have just denied a lot of hadiths. You have denied some Quranic verses where you just said that, well, we cannot, we're not allowed to kill women because, as you said, if you do that, you are denying a lot of hadiths. The Sahih hadiths are being called out false by you. So that is bad news for you. And also you just making off another claim that our war ethics are much better than your war ethics. I mean, and especially you're talking about the 7th century war ethics with the modern war ethics.
Ethics, I'm talking about ethics, not wars, ethics.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, war ethics. Oh no, so you're not talking about war ethics or just ethics?
Yeah, because ethics are in everything in life. And
we're specifically talking about war ethics because we're talking about killings and slavery and all that. So you're talking about war ethics that, because I think you kind of mixed it up with the American war on Iraq and all that. So maybe I think that's where you were making the point. So do you hold the view that? Do you hold the view? Yeah, okay. So do you hold the view that your Islamic war ethics are better than the 21st century, or actually post World War II war ethics of the world? Is that what you believe?
A million times, of course. I can
a
million times.
No. So you think we no longer take slaves now? That is worse than taking slaves, because that is Islamic war ethics.
So you are bombing with nuclear weapons, my brother.
No. I said post World War. I said post World War II. I'm talking about the Geneva Convention post World War II. Are you talking about? Are you saying?
Sorry. Where are Geneva Convention in Israel? Israel are killing every time a child.
I'm not talking about. No, but then Israel is not taking slaves. Israel is not taking what your right hand possesses. Israel is not doing that.
But killing with phosphoric weapons. That's right.
With what weapons?
It's a good thing, you know. What
are you talking about?
We're talking about killing people. We're talking about killing people, man.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm specifically asking about if someone breaks. Okay, sure.
We're talking about the limit of crimes to kill people with phosphoric weapons.
I am talking about set in stone written war rules, the war ethics that are written in Geneva Convention. Okay, fine. If you want to say, just for the argument's sake, that Israel is breaching the Geneva Convention, I'm asking you, is Geneva Convention a better war ethic manual than the Quran? Do you believe that or not?
No, Geneva Wars are just papers. They are not reality, my brother.
Yeah. No, okay. No. Okay, sure.
Reality, they're papers.
Let's just, yeah. But so is the Quran. But let's just say, for the argument's sake.
No, because
So you're saying it's not practical. So are you saying it's not practical? Geneva Convention is not practical. Is that what you're saying?
Sorry. Geneva is from the creation of humans, just to deceive people. They are not reality. But for Muslims, the ethic of wars, the Muslims believe that I am from God.
I know what you think. Why do you dodge questions? Why can't you give a simple answer? I'm asking you a question. Understand this as clearly as possible. See, I really don't get this frustrated.
Yeah, you are sorry. You are directing me with your question. That's the problem. After that, I will continue my point. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm asking you a question. On paper, let's just say neither of the two war manuals are practical. Is Geneva Convention better, or is the Quran war ethics are better than what's been described in Geneva Convention? Yes or no?
It's not. No, it is not the Quran war ethics. It's the Muslim scholars war ethics. You have to understand the consensus.
The consensus has been driven. The consensus has been driven from Quran and Hadith.
Quran and Hadith and Qiyas also 3 times.
Yeah. Okay.
For that, after that, the ijma. Okay.
Yeah. So you're saying that is better than the Geneva Convention?
Of course, because we don't have the right to cut a tree. we don't have right to cut a tree.
Well, I
Maybe.
think the
Of
liberal
course.
guy meant, and is it okay to pull an enemy woman pulled across by 2 camels? Is that okay? And don't then save the fucking trees, but kill the women.
Okay, but you have to take me from where you get that.
It's in Ishaq. It's in Ibn Ishaq. That's in I believe it's in Tabari as well.
Al-Tabari, volume 8, page
I told you
96.
sorry.
Let's bring that up again then, because I think Harris. Otherwise, we can go on to this if we want to.
I just don't get it. Don't get a straight answer.
But we are talking about the consensus. I told you many times. We are talking about the consensus of scholars. Don't give me one scholar. Give me the consensus of scholars. That's what you don't understand. You don't understand the legislation politics in Islam. You don't understand that, especially for us, the Sunni. If you go to the Shia, it's another question for the Shia. It's another thing, another debate. You don't understand Islam. That's your problem. So you are trying. Sorry,
right. Everyone is stupid, but everyone's crazy.
It's not stupid. You don't have the right methodology, my brother. That's your problem. That's your problem. You are saying something that we don't say about us. That's
I think Samir, I think you should take part in next Olympics. If they have mental gymnastics as sport in there, you'll win the gold medal.
Of course I will win, my brother, because I'm a Muslim. I will win, my brother. Because I'm a Muslim. Muslim always wins. Always.
Okay. Let's just see if we are. I want to make sure that we've covered slavery, because I think we went slightly off onto the ethics, which we can get onto if we need to. And I know that slavery does touch on ethics as well, but I want to make sure, because the liberal guy made specific claims here. So, liberal guy, can you just repeat these claims? And if you can listen carefully to what is being said here, Samir, and I'd like you to answer specifically, nothing else, except if you can, and if you're willing to, what the liberal guy is saying now. So, liberal guy, can you just repeat this again? Because I don't think this has been adequately answered. Are you there? We're not hearing you, liberal guy. You are not muted. Oh, maybe he stepped away. I'm not hearing anything from the liberal guy there. Do you want to add anything in here? Because what I'm seeing from the liberal guy is that there was this woman that was tied her legs and rope between 2 camels, and they split her in 2. Now, I stepped away for a moment, so I'm assuming that this was somebody that was in war that was then killed afterwards. Okay, he's dropped off there, unfortunately.
Okay, the basic problem I have with this is what I said in the beginning, that the God in Islam creates human beings to own slaves, and he creates humans that are only there to be owned. And this is what I find so sick, bar any ethics, how a God can create humans to be owned by other humans. This is what is the sick thing. To then go and make a claim, here are some slaves that I'm giving you, now go and free them, and if you free them, this is an excellent move on your side. This is total moral bankruptcy. You can't come to me and say that, yes, it's a good thing to take slaves because we are freeing them. So we're taking women from 1,000 kilometers away, dragging them all the way across Africa into Arabia. Then we're raping them on the way, and then we are freeing them, and we're doing something good. That is not ethical. That is not what I call a high-level moral view.
Okay, do you want to respond there, Samir?
Okay. Yes. Okay. No problem. No, I think you know, the problem with my friend Stop is just Anthony. He doesn't understand he doesn't understand how we think Muslims. I told you it's not just about the Quran, it's about the Quran, Hadith, and Qiyas and Ijma'. 4 steps, my brother. So if you want to understand that, please just read about that. Inform yourself about that, and don't try just to take one verse and to explain it as you want, because I already give you this verse in the Quran. It's about Al-Imran 37. You can go to it, you can to read it, and you will understand a lot of things. That's one. Two, I wish in the future.
So you have no answer. You have nothing to offer to me except some stupid ram.
No, it's stupid for you. I think you can get my point. So the second thing, my dear brother, I want to tell you that I want to give a suggestion for you, just to make it a direct show, you know, a hangout here about the state of Israel, anti-Semitism, and the lie of 6 million, you know, Jews killed in the by the Nazis. Give us the show if you want really to show the truth to the people, and they can debate that and can show you that it is a big lie. There is no anti-Semitism. There is no 6 million Jews killed by the Nazis, and that the state of Israel is a really criminal terrorist state in the world. It is the least. It is.
You are a monster. You are a monster. When you are being confronted with slavery here, with the plight of human beings, and you come to me and you want to talk about Israel and Zionism, when you cannot answer anything about slavery,
I answered
you
everything. Sorry. Don't stop. I answered everything.
Samir, let me jump in here. This show is focused on critiquing Islam. We're not focused on critiquing Christianity or Judaism or Israel or America or whatever. There's other shows that do. This is a focus on Islam, and so that's what this show does. If you want to bring in another show, and we'll be your guests by all means. But this show is only critiquing Islam, so we're not going to divert as the main topic from this show.
Is there room for me to comment? My computer
Please,
crashed.
go ahead. Yep, go ahead.
Okay.
It's open panel now. You guys go ahead as you wish.
Okay, so the question I still feel that I haven't got an answer on. I don't have a problem if you say that this is historical information. Can you guys see my screen? Can you see it?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay, beautiful. So this question was, how do you feel about this? Or it was actually more you that made a claim to say that a woman that taken a war, you should never kill her. And you said that there's a difference of opinions on what's the rulings, but that's not what we asked for. We asked about the historical information according to Islamic scripture. So this is what Tabari, he's a historian that documented that Muhammad sent Zaid, took Khalifa as prisoners, and Zaid, who's Prophet Muhammad's adoptive son, he took a rope on her legs, tied it, and her arms, and then he split her body by 2 camels that went the opposite side. So the historical claim, I would want you to answer that. And I have one more about Islamic war ethics. It's Sunan An-Nasai, volume 4, 27, 34, 59. Here you have children now. So they are not warriors, they're children. So the sons of Qurayza told me that they were presented to Messenger of Allah. So Prophet Muhammad is now the leader here, and he had children in front of him, as you will see, on the day of Qurayza, and whoever among them had reached puberty or had grown pubic hair, they were killed. And whoever of them had not reached puberty, had not grown pubic hair, was left alive. So here you have now two situations, historical claims, not what the scholars will say, historical claims, things that happened under Muhammad's leadership. How would you address this? This would be nice to hear. Do you understand my question, first of all?
No, sorry. If you're talking about Qurayza, my dear brother, Qurayza is specific state about Qurayza, It's specific state. If you read about it, you will understand very well. But I'm talking about, I told you and I repeat again, the consensus of all the Muslim scholars in all the schools of Islam, we don't have the right to kill a child, to kill an old man, to kill someone who is in way of worship, even Christian or Jew. We don't have to cut a tree. We don't have the right to kill a woman, to kill an old woman. It is very clear for us. So if you give me some, a page from here and from there, about some Orientalists who work for the imperial power, in the past or now, it is not a proof for me. Okay, so you have to go to the books of Muslims and to talk about what Muslims say about their religion. After that, we can have discussion. But if you want to give me this to give me your own interpretation and to make it like a real interpretation for Muslims, you are doing something wrong, my brother. It is not something in methodology. In methodology, you have to understand what other people are talking about themselves.
Sorry, but did you see my sources? Did you see my sources? Tabari is...
Yeah, but Qurayza, we're talking about Qurayza, my dear brother. I told you Qurayza is a specific state. You have to understand the case of Qurayza, Banu Qurayza.
Yeah, okay? So what do you think about that? I'm just wondering, isn't that going against what you just said earlier, that the war ethics is right?
Sorry. We have, how we can say it, we have exceptions, we have general rules, and we have exceptions. Qurayza is an exception. You have to go on to understand this case. Qurayza is an exception. I'm telling you about the consensus. The general rule in Islam, we don't have the right to kill a woman. We don't have the right to kill a child. We don't have a woman to kill someone who is in his work of worship. We don't have to kill an old man, an old woman. We don't have the right to kill an animal, even an animal.
Qurayza, can you address that? That would be interesting to hear.
What?
Qurayza had her legs and her arms tied, and then hold on, I'm speaking. Hold on. You wait. I'm speaking.
Oh, my brother.
And then the opposite side, you had a camel driving on the opposite side, and then they split her. So that's a woman in war. So that goes against your claim. I did not raise it because it's a
Oh, no,
proper
sorry,
thing.
sorry. I told you, and I repeat again. If you give me an exception, you have to understand this case of exception. But I'm talking about the general rules. The general rule is very clear for Muslims. If you have a doubt about that, go and read what all the Muslim scholars are saying about that. You will understand me, my dear brother.
So
Don't
this
give
was okay.
exceptions, because no, sorry. In history, you will find exceptions. History is not perfect, my dear brother. History is not perfect. You will find exceptions. But I'm talking about what scholars are saying about themselves, what I'm saying about Islam. Please, I think I'm telling you the things are very clear, but you can't understand my point, my dear brother. Okay? In history, you will find everything. I'm telling you, in history, you will find everything that you want to have it, and that's what atheists are doing right now. What if we want to understand the methodology of atheists? What are doing atheists? They go to search history and they find a case against the general standards in Islam, and they try to focus on that case. It is not
Correct.
methodology, my dear brother. It is
Okay,
not methodological.
So I understand
Yes,
I'm not going to get an answer. If I may say one last thing, and I'm going to leave the mic. You keep saying that you're not allowed to cut trees of this world, but I will prove that you're actually speaking against your prophet. So according to Sahih Muslim 1943-24, it says very clear here in this headline, it's permissible to cut down the trees of the kuffar and burning them. So you're basically talking against your prophet. That's all I have to say. If somebody else wants to take over.
My brother, I told you. Please, so listen to me. I will make it easier for you. If you go to Sahih Bukhari and Sahih Muslim, and you take a verse, Sahih Bukhari and Muslim is more than 2,000 verses. If you want to take a verse that is dealing with a specific case, for example, about slavery, if you want to understand what are Bukhari and Sahih Muslim talking about slavery, you have to bring all the verses that are talking about slavery. Sorry, not just one verse. For example, if we have 20 verses talking about slavery, you have to bring all the 20 verses and to understand the social cases and to understand what happened at that time. So you have to study these 20 hadith in Sahih Bukhari and Sahih Muslim to get a final judgment. That's what you cannot understand, my dear atheist. That you're talking just one verse, you're talking just one hadith, and you try to get a judgment
Samir,
from. Oh,
you are an embarrassment for all Muslims. You are embarrassing everybody with what you are doing. You just said there is nothing anywhere in Islam that allows you to cut a tree. You have just been shown that you are allowed to cut a tree. We do not have to show you every single hadith which says, yes, you are allowed to cut a tree. You are dancing around, you are embarrassing everybody. Why can't you be honest just for 5 minutes and stop lying? That's all I want. Please.
No, sorry. Please listen to me. About lying and not lying. No, please, we don't use this kind of language, okay? Because right now you said many things that are wrong about Islam. I didn't say to you
it's
that
the language. You can lie and deceive and do whatever you want, but I'm not allowed to use this language.
What is the purpose of slavery? What is the wisdom behind it?
Yes, please tell us what the wisdom of slavery is.
There is a very clear verse in the Quran. Just get the translation. But before I mention the verse, can you just tell me your position why you believe slavery is wrong?
Because owning another human being is wrong always and forever. There is no exception to that.
But how do you know that?
How do I know what?
That owning another human being is immoral. And how do you come to that conclusion?
Because not owning another human being is more moral. In other words, it's like you are treating them like property. And the question is something treating something like property, or treating somebody as another human being, which is better? And we can establish that very easily.
I understand that in a sense you are right, because a slave is bought and he is bought and sold. You are right, in this sense, but it doesn't mean that he's not a human being. But how do you come to the connection? Do you believe that humanity is a cause of judgment, is a cause for us to judge?
Would you like to be a slave? Would you like?
Look, stop, please. I speak everything I know. It's okay. Everything. I'm not afraid of questions. Okay. Well, let me speak with Rob now.
This is an open panel. It's an open panel now. Fruit, so anybody can jump in. I don't want to monopolize this. Actually, I will step back and I'll let other people in because
I want to be very clear that why do you believe that? How do you come from this? How do you link? How do you jump from a human being to he is not? It is immoral to own this human being. Why is freedom something? Why is
well, we got your point. We got your point.
Okay, Fruitful. I understand what you're saying, and so do everybody else. I'm going to let Sultan, Harris.
But I haven't read the verse. I haven't read the verse.
Yeah, but you asked the question, how do we establish it? So I'm going to let Harris take over. Go for it.
I think Stops touched that on that, but it's incredibly, I'm sorry to use this language, but it's an incredibly stupid question. Now, are you going to ask us, okay, well, it's okay to kill enemy combatants. How is killing bad? How have you established that killing is bad? I mean, have you heard of the golden rule? Don't do to others that you don't want them done onto you. Would you like to be a slave?
I accept the golden rule.
So would you like to be a slave? Would it be okay for me to raid your tribe, kill you, and take your wives and daughters as my sex slaves?
Okay, I was going into this, my friend. I don't believe people are equal in the sense that you believe they are. And of course, if people are
breaking up. I think Alada wants you to say what you're saying.
Okay, all right. I would like to jump in. Slavery is basically the exploitation of somebody's labor. This is why you own slaves, is to exploit their labor. Okay, and this is what I was trying to get into earlier, but the questions just distracted me. Do we live in a world where the exploitation of labor has stopped? What do I mean by that? I mean, does everybody own the fruits of their own labor in this current world we live in? And I would like to think, for the most part, yes, but in vast majorities, in vast markets throughout the world, there's a huge gap between what the workers produce and what they earn with the current economic system. So I would like to argue, to some extent, that in this modern age, there is some form of wage slavery.
No. Sorry, no.
Okay, before we divert,
we're talking about. We are talking very clearly about what we said in the beginning, and that is that another person goes into a country, raids a tribe, burns down the village, annihilates the tribe, takes the women, moves them 1,000 kilometers across the country, rapes them on the way, and then sells them on the slave market. This is the slavery we're talking about.
Well, this is not rocket science. I mean, this type of slavery, I mean, is contextually out of the question. What do I mean by that? I mean, the context of anybody perpetrating these types of acts in this day and age, from the evolution of mankind. If we say that history began yesterday, then we understand that, you know, like, well, I'm going off on a tangent. What I'm trying to say is, what people used to do back in the day in an age of barbarity, this is what they were familiar with. The question is it legitimate today?
I agree with you. We all agree with you.
Yeah. The question is it legitimate today to perpetrate these acts under the name of, let's say, racial superiority, religious superiority, ethnic superiority?
Abdel Aziz, there is a mistake.
In any context today, nobody has the stomach to witness or even participate in these. The vast majority of people. The question is, why do we see Muslims? This is the question that we need to ask. Why do we need to see Muslims above all people who are willing, not all Muslims, let me add that, why are they willing to perpetrate these acts that for at least 200 years, people have agreed this is, you know, a form of barbarity or criminality?
So can I just go back to where I stopped, where you took off? I was asked about the golden rule. Of course, we accept the golden rule as Muslims. We have to accept the golden rule. We have to deal people as we would love to be dealt. with. But this is not the issue. Much of what you people are saying is irrational. You see my point. What's your name with the beard?
Harris Sultan.
Harris. You're taking an irrational position. What you're basically saying is that all people are equal. This is what you're saying. This is the premise on which your conclusion is built. But we don't accept this.
Yes. No. Yeah, I know where you're going with that. But okay, some people are doctors, some people have higher IQ, some people have lower IQ. That's why we have to build a society where all humans are equal in the eyes of the society, in the legal system.
There is much more than that. There is good people, there is bad people.
Yeah, so make the bad people your slave?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying everybody is to be dealt as he would love to be dealt.
It's yeah, exactly. So it's a non sequitur. It doesn't flow into slavery.
Harris. I, as a Muslim, I understand that there are. I totally accept, and I have no right to reject that there are cases in which if I behaved according to these cases, okay, I have to be dealt with as I should deal with a person who in those let's say I would have to suffer. You see my point?
No, I don't.
Yes, I don't see this. I don't see this as a golden rule problem. And you have to deal with other people.
Okay, fine.
Justly.
You have to come to the point. We are speaking in context of slavery.
Yes, very well.
So slaves are meant to be treated like slaves because all men are not equal? Is that what you're saying?
What is it? Can you repeat the question?
All men are not equal. That's your premise. So that's why.
Yes, I don't believe all people are equal.
No. Let's bring it down to the context of slavery.
Yes,
so you're saying a slave is an inferior being, so that's okay to own a slave.
This is a very wrong premise to say that all people are equal. This is very wrong. There is no evidence for this.
In the eyes of law, when we build a society, we have to put all people equally.
Law differentiates between people. Law differentiates between people. Everyone has to be dealt with in the right way.
Everyone is equal in the eyes of law. So if it's a non sequitur. What you're talking about is not in direct conflict. It just doesn't flow. The legal system.
Harris, I accept that people are to be dealt with. This is universal. This is universal. Justice. This is universal. But when it comes to who gets what, how do you determine? Why do you make all people equal? This is a false premise.
How is that a false premise? A society doesn't treat whether
because
you're a
people
woman
are not equal. They are.
Yeah. Okay. I'll make a point. So, as a society, in a modern society that we've built, all people are viewed equally, irrelevant of their IQ. I'm telling you, irrelevant of their IQ, irrelevant of their gender. We have to treat them equally. Now that also flows down to the legal system. In the eyes of law, everyone is equal. So if a rich man commits a murder,
that's Harris. How do you know that they have to be treated equally?
That's how you build a principle.
I'll give you an example.
You build a principle. Okay.
I'll give you an example. And this is a very good example. Men and women.
Oh, is that it? So men and women. So women are physically weaker, so we should treat them differently. Is that what you're saying? Is that your premise?
We cannot possibly give them the same rights.
What? Excuse me?
Lie to them, but they will not get the same right.
Sorry. Can I jump in, please? Please. Can I jump in, please?
Yeah, help out your buddy, man.
Okay. No. Wait a second. I have to finish.
You cannot give them equal rights to women. Now, so you have spoken like a true Muslim.
Yes, you can't. Why? Because they are different.
Yeah.
How do you know that this person? No. Wait a second. How do you judge this as equal to that? It is because they are equal. If they
do you know the difference?
You cannot judge that.
Do you know the difference between rights and capabilities? I mean, rights is something that
men are equal to women,
but capabilities are totally different. If I cannot become,
please let's be honest, my friend. Do you believe men are equal to women?
Well, physiologically, of course not. Physiologically, of course not. But in terms of rights, yes, they are.
طيب, how do you know, why do you extend that to rights?
Because that's the way we want to build our society, where we treat everyone
It's
equal.
not a conclusion. You're not answering it properly. You're not
I
giving
have answered it properly. I think it's made sense. I think it's made perfect sense to everyone on
It's
this.
not right. If you want to judge two things as equal, if you want to judge two things in the same way, you must know that the cause of judgment is here and there. It's in the two cases. If it's not in the two cases, you cannot make this equivalence. طيب,
I don't understand your premise at all. So I mean, so what are you saying, that because they're physiologically different? No, hang on. So physiologically, if men and women are different, that's why they should have different rights. Is that what you're saying? Is that a crux of your premise?
That's part of it, yes. Because
so what's the other part?
Children, for example,
what's the other part?
Women are weaker than men. Women are less.
So when a woman is physically weaker, but she can work in the office, and so can a man work at the office. But we should apply that you cannot work at the office because you are weaker, even though the physical strength.
I'm just making the point that your conclusion is a false.
No, it's not. It's not a false conclusion. I would like you to refute that.
You cannot arrive to that conclusion based on reason. That's what I'm saying.
Well, you're talking nonsense.
Sorry.
You're talking nonsense because I've already said the physical.
This is very important.
Because physical sense, because physical force, physical capability doesn't matter.
Guys, I can't hear. I can't understand what's going on.
Sorry, please. Can I just jump in? Can I just jump in to calm? Sorry, can I jump in, Shaf? Please. Just to, I think I will try to summarize my point about slavery very quickly and very efficiently.
Please. I just to make. I haven't said what I wanted to say. Please.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes. There is a verse in the Quran which speaks about slavery as servitude and slavery. Of course, when you say slavery, it is not the same picture which is painted in the minds of the Westerners, what they did to Africa, for example. Okay, that is severely unjust. We don't believe in this. We don't have a race-based slavery. Okay, and we don't take free people like that. Okay, but what slavery does in society, it is mentioned in the Quran. God says, أهم يقسمون رحمة ربك نحن قسمنا بينهم معيشتهم في الحياة الدنيا. Do they is it they who distribute the mercy of your Lord? It is we who have distributed their livelihoods among them in the life of this world, and have raised some of them and have raised some above others in rank, that some of them may harness others to their service. Your Lord's mercy is better than all the treasures that they hoard. Why was slavery taken a priori? It was because it was people at the time didn't think that if every person is on an equal level, okay, it's something which is basic. If every person is on an equal level, you cannot have a society running. You see the point. Because of this difference between people, society functions. But if there is no difference between people, society doesn't function.
We know that point already. You've made that point when you drew a comparison between men and women. But my point is, I don't think you understand the difference between capabilities and rights. Rights, they are not related to each other. So you're basically saying a woman is physically weaker, hence she should have different rights. Is that what you're saying? I'm not talking about her capabilities, what she is able to do, or what she's not able to do. I'm talking about her rights as a society, as a citizen of a society, whether she should have lower rights just because she's physically weaker or physiologically different.
We don't say she should have lower rights just like that. Yes, in many cases, that is true. But there are other cases where she has more rights in some areas. But why is that?
So they're not equal rights. So you cannot have equal rights. Let's just be clear on that. You cannot have equal rights between men and women.
Fruity brother.
You cannot have equal rights. Why? Because men and women are not equal. How can you judge two different things?
Abdel, Aziz, let me nail this. You can jump on because I think my ears are already hurting. So, well, two men are not equal either. So should they have different rights as well? Again, I'm not talking about the position.
Listen.
If I am physically, hang on a second. Let me put an example so you understand. So let's say if I'm physically stronger than you and I can beat the shit out of you, I should be let go. I should have more rights than you because I'm physically stronger than you. That is basically your premise.
No. Yes, okay. I don't believe that they must necessarily have no equal. But I'm saying you cannot come to the conclusion that the rights must be equal, unless the cause of judgment. Unless the cause of judgment. Wait. Unless the cause of judgment is not this which you are pointing to.
No. Why not? I mean, you've made the same case against women. That women are physiologically weaker than men, therefore they should not have equal rights.
Yes.
Well, I'm saying, if you are I'll put it that way. If I'm physically stronger than you, I should have more rights than you, right? You're weak. You're weaker than me.
If the cause of judgment, I don't accept this. But if the cause of judgment were it were rational, I don't. Of course, when I approach religion, I don't think in terms of reason, as in trying to prove God's legislation through reason. But I understand that everything in God's law is rational. You see my point?
Well, obviously, I see your point that you're making a claim, but you're giving non sequiturs after non sequiturs.
No. My point is that it's very simple, my friend. It's very simple. If the cause of judgment is in the two cases, then the judgment will be equal necessarily. It doesn't. That is how it is. It's called what do you call this? It's like
I don't. Okay. Well, I don't follow this reasoning. Anyone else can jump in.
So, Fruitful, listen to the question. James asked you, in the future, in a hypothetical Islamic state, if the conditions were met and Stops was a soldier, could he take somebody as a slave? And that's what I'd like you to answer, please.
Yes, but it has to be in accordance with the Sharia.
But you can take slaves, so you're bringing back slavery.
Exactly.
If it were in accordance with the Sharia, we don't look at it as anything unjust or immoral. Okay.
So gratifying.
Okay, that's a clear answer.
Yes, of course. It's very clear. But the question is, why do I believe this? Why do I find it moral?
No.
Sarah is a prophet.
I think I'm. So basically, you've said that. So in a true war, according to Sharia, if I attack your village, I can kill you because you are not going to subscribe to my ideology that I'm bringing.
Sorry. In Sharia, we don't attack, we defend. We defend in Sharia.
No, listen, my friend, listen. What you did here was the same rule which I told about before. You're making you're making different things equal, and this is false. What you are saying is, just like you can attack me, I have the right to attack you. I don't accept this, because I don't believe people are equal. People are equal people are even in the sight of God. The best of you are those who have piety, who love God. You see my point?
Yeah.
People
yes. So I'm going to bring my God. My God is Yahuru, and he's saying exactly the same thing. That the people who believe in Yahuru are the correct one, and everything else is exactly the same as Quran. So I can invade you, and I can kill you, and I can take your women as slaves. Now, I'm talking about the principle. I know you're not going to agree with Yahuru, but you agree with Allah. So I'm applying the same principle that you apply on the others, on the non-Muslims, whatever the conditions are, whatever the excuse or premise is to attack the neighboring town. You
are making a contradiction, Harris.
How?
You are saying if another God, listen, how? Because I believe there is only one, because reason dictates and fitra dictates that there is only one God.
Yeah, but that God, I call Yahuru. I call God Yahuru.
It is impossible that a second God would command his creation
that's what you believe, which is how, as an outsider, I would not agree with that. Just like you are not agreeing with my God, Yahuru. I am applying.
Harris, this means that the premise you have to يعني what I'm saying is that you have to go back to my premise, which is that, and this is on your half, it is important just as well. No, listen, you have
I know your point. You're basically saying these are your laws, these are your rules of engagement, and I cannot apply the same rules of engagement. I'm following your. Exactly. That's exactly what he's saying, because he's allowed by his scripture. Because he's allowed by his scripture to do that, but I'm not allowed because I don't have a scripture.
Yes. Why is that? That is why. No. Harris. Because I am doing it. If I do it, I would do it for the sake of God.
Well, I'm doing it for the sake of my God. Yeah.
You do it. You would do it for the sake of the devil.
Please order. Please.
Yeah, my God, devil. That's fine, but I
okay, one at a time, please. One at a time. Okay, I want to have Abdel, if I've pronounced it correctly. Abdel, you wanted to say something. Go ahead there, please.
Want me to hit you, you have to pay the jizya, so on and so forth. And my interpretation of Allah reigns supreme over your interpretation of Allah. I do not like, this is what is a poison in the Muslim community, especially in the West. We have people who are the self-proclaimed representatives of Muhammad and his scripture and Allah on earth. And if you have a problem with these Muslims, you better watch out, because they'll implement Sharia according to them. See, when you take a minute and you look at everything logically, there's no argument. There should be no argument. When there's a room full of people and they say, hey, slavery is bad, and there's an agreement that nobody's going to take any more slaves because there's an agreement to abolish slavery, it's simple. No more slaves. This is the rules of engagement of the modern era. It's unacceptable to take slaves.
Which is a negation of the Islamic principle.
No, look, the Islamic principle has not. You don't need to look. Okay, this is what you do. This is what you do. You say, hey, wait a minute. This book says I have to take slaves. What's the difference between you and Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi in Iraq who hijacked Mosul? What is the difference between you? Because you're saying your understanding of Islam is better than my understanding of Islam. But if you look at the situation, how it's supposed to be looked at, and that's through communication and understanding and logic, all right? People have to begin with a historical understanding of how things evolved. We did not come out of yesterday fighting each other with the Crusades and so on and so forth and jihad.
My brother, I agree with you completely, 100%. Yes.
So the thing that I'm trying to drive home, okay, can somebody take a slave in the year 2012, right? Or 2017 or 2018? Yes, they can, but they would be a criminal. The moral thing to do is to grab them by the ear and have them tried in a court of law.
Abdul, I am sympathetic towards your idea. You're basically saying that, okay, well, Islam has evolved and it needs to evolve, right? Well, slavery has been abolished.
Here's the question we need to ask. This is the question we need to ask ourselves. Has Islam really been stagnant for the past 1,400 years? Have Muslims been practicing Islam the same way that some people claim that it's been practiced for the past 1,400 years? No, we were the same way that the Chinese evolved. The same way that the Chinese evolved, and the Japanese, and the Muslim peoples of the world, and the North Americans and the Europeans, we evolved tandem with the rest of the world.
Exactly. Well, no, I get your point. No, you're right. Muslims have been evolving for the last 1,400 years, but the point you're missing out is the central claim or a belief of any religion for its veracity is to establish, or it's a claim that it's the word of God. It's an eternal word of God. So it leaves no room for evolution. Even when the Muslims conquerors from Arabia conquered India, they did not apply the same rules in the 9th century. Muhammad had applied. They did not kill all the polytheists or force them to convert to Islam. They did not. They could not do that even in the 9th century.
Where are you from? What's your background?
I'm Pakistani.
You're Pakistani. Okay. Harris, in war, you know, there's this book, or there's this famous saying, all is fair in love and war, right?
Yeah.
Okay, now, am I going to advocate? Well, I'm not saying to agree or disagree, but I'm just saying things happen in war. I understand your argument. You're saying, does God really legitimize genocide? Does God really legitimize slavery? Is this the God is the God that says you're allowed to do this? Is he morally right? Is he morally just? We're questioning God at this point. Me, I'm a spiritual person. I believe that the Lord that I worship, right, is beyond my questioning. Because if I start questioning my Lord, you know, it's no longer a God. It's something inferior to the God of the universe, right? But what are we talking about? We have a problem with historical figures at this point. We have a problem. We have a problem with George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, people that are not around today, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But the funny thing is, the ironic thing is, you'll never hear the same type of criticism levied against Julius Caesar, Mark Antony, or Nebuchadnezzar.
Yeah, because there's a difference. No, but no one is applying Julius Caesar's war principles in today's world. The difference here is the difference here is that Muhammad is a religious figure, and his word through Quran, which is supposedly the word of God, is eternal and unchangeable. So if it says that you can own slaves, that's the end of the story. If we have to be intellectually honest that this is a word created by the creator of billions of galaxies, then obviously he has more wisdom than us, and whatever he said is full of wisdom, and it should remain for eternity. But the mere fact that Muslims themselves evolve and they do not apply the same principles that are in Quran shows a lot about this eternal claim of this God. So now you may not want to question God because the central part of your belief is that God is above criticism and question and everything, and that is coherent with the definition of God up to this point. But where does the problem come? If Muhammad had just given a vague God and that's it, and then he had said, okay, everything I'm saying now is just perfect for this time, and it's just how I see fit, would have been fine. But he came with a book that is the eternal.
No, he did not come with a book. He did not come with a book. He was the living embodiment of God. Like, he was the Quran from that time is the living embodiment of Muhammad. His existence, what he speaks, he is the Quran. He's the living embodiment of the Quran.
That creates even more problems because there are a lot of questionable things in the life of Muhammad and the Quran itself. So you may not want to question God, the character of God himself, but there is so much room for us to question.
We can question the character of God. We can say, what is God? What's his nature? What does he want us to do? We can question these things. But I'm saying I cannot question God in the sense, do I really have the ability to hold God accountable for what I perceive to be his crimes against humanity? This is what I'm saying.
Because we can't put him in the court of law.
Okay, hang on, guys. Yeah. I just want to break here for a moment. I want to bring in the liberal guy. He'll be going off to bed shortly, and he wants to add one more comment before he leaves us. So, liberal guy, can you jump in with your final thought there?
Sure. First of all, shout out to Raj for doing great work at Speaker's Corner. And second thing is that I'm really encouraged for us having this conversation. We've discussed for 2 hours, and I haven't heard the word Islamophobia, which means that Muslims are evolving and they're taking on the challenges, which is beautiful. And this will be my last comment, and I'll go to bed. In Sahih Muslim, because I heard our friend here, Abdel Aziz, saying that Muhammad is the walking Quran. So he should be the perfect example. In Sahih Muslim, book 8, Hadith 34, 32, it says the following. You can read all of this, but just the title is enough. It says the following. So Abdul Aziz, I would be pleased if you want to answer this one. It says the following. It's permissible to have intercourse with a female captive after it's been established that she's not pregnant. And if she has a husband, then her marriage is annulled when she's captured. Not finished. Just remember this one. Sahih Muslim. Next one is go to the Quran, chapter 424, and you go to Tafsir, Ibn Kathir. You're going to touch the same thing. It's going to be here. All right. So it's going to touch on the same thing. Speaking about those who you acquire through war, you're allowed such women. So now you have kidnapped them. And you make sure that they're not pregnant. Still the same thing as Sahih Muslim. And Imam Ahmad recorded that Abu Sa'd al-Khudri says the following. We captured some women in an area of Autaz who were already married. So they're already married. And we disliked having sexual intercourse with them. Meaning they are now having moral issues, right, with this. So because these women already have husbands. So now they go to the Prophet. And this ayah, meaning the Quran verse, was revealed. Forbidden a woman already married. Exception is those your right hand possessed. So what happened? The consequence was we had sexual relationship with these women that were kidnapped and already married. This is second reference. Third reference is Quran 23:6. I already mentioned this one before, but I'll still do this one more time. Jalalain Tafsir says the following. They are your concubines, they're your slave girls, and you're allowed to have sexual intercourse with them. Remember, Muhammad is the walking Quran. So he's giving us now the formula. And if you go down to Ibn Abbas, I'm sorry if I'm boring someone out, if you've already seen this one, you'll have, it's allowed to have 4 wives, and about slaves, remember you can have sex with them, there's no limit.
Do you want me to condemn Muhammad? Is this the question? Ultimately, should I condemn this person? Should I condemn Allah because of what they did? Tell me, how is that any different than any emperor or any king or Genghis Khan? You know what's amazing? In the West, Genghis Khan is one of the most talked about figures. He killed so many people. You know, he's like a cultural figure in the West. You know, but nobody would say, "Oh, Genghis Khan was a bad guy." People, you know, these death metal guys, they have tracks called
yeah, but we don't have
Horde or something like that. You know,
we don't have 1.4 billion people. We don't have 1.4 billion followers at Genghis Khan who believe in what Genghis Khan did.
Harris, my friend, actually, let me tell you something.
Christians and Jews, they have something similar to that in their Bible. Actually,
Fruitful, can you wait and let's let Abdel finish, please?
Yeah, okay. Even sorry, but even the communist atheists in Russia, they did massacres, man. They killed people by millions. So
yeah,
that is completely irrelevant, Samir. That is completely irrelevant.
You people make the point. You people make
very important.
This is what you guys do. You say, well, yeah, well, okay, we had some bad things done in the time of Muhammad, but
there is nothing bad. No. There is nothing bad. The problem is in your way of thinking, Harris.
But we had. So why don't you justify? Why don't you explain us? Why do you have to bring in this communist Russia, Genghis Khan, and all these other people instead of sticking to the point and answering your position on how owning slaves or owning Safiya for the price of 7 slaves is a good thing or a bad thing?
Okay.
Why don't you in that position?
Can I answer?
No, I'm explaining. I'm telling you. Hold up. I'm explaining to you right now. I'm telling you, it's a natural outcome of war. In the 6th century, 7th century, up until maybe the 17th century, people started talking about new rules of engagement. This was common practice. Plundering and pillaging and selling is a way of life. It's the human nature.
But commonality doesn't mean right.
Harris.
No, it is right. It is right. It is right.
Commonality means right.
When 2 people compete, life or death, when 2 people compete with each other, life and death, and you defeat the men on the battlefield, you have sovereignty over their women and children. You have absolute right domination over them. You can do whatever you want. This is not right.
Okay, well, no. Abdulaziz, very good. Good point you made. So if ISIS takes Yazidi girls, so whoever now attacks ISIS, they should also take ISIS women as sex slaves.
No. Harris, you're a funny guy. Listen, this is where you're wrong. This is where you're wrong. I've already said
Aziz.
this day and age, and what we understand as international laws of
No. But you said But you said that okay, well, it's life and death. Two people are competing with each other, so therefore it's fair to do what the opposition is doing. You can do that to them too. That's what you said.
No,
That's how you
no,
said it, Mom.
no. I said about
Okay,
this. Aziz, please. Let me-
We have some interesting innovations. We have some interesting innovations. We actually differentiate people as professional soldiers, civilians, so on and so forth. It's humanitarian workers. Look,
Aziz.
your identity in the 6th century, whether you were Arab or Babylonian or Assyrian, or your religion or your creed or your culture, this is what's your passport. This
They were
was
all
your
fucked up. Muhammad could have shown an example. Okay, well, they take women as sex slaves, but here is I am a messenger of God. I'm a different person. I am going to change the tradition. You know what? I'm not going to take women as sex slaves.
The premise is that sex slaves don't exist.
That would be corruption,
What
Harris.
you're saying is
That
that
would be corruption.
right now we live in an age where there is absolute no slavery, there's no sex slaves, there's no crimes, there's no genocide. We live in a complete utopia.
Muhammad could have done that. No, but Muhammad could have.
There are atrocities. There are
example.
atrocities. Huh?
But Muhammad could have set an example. Like he set an example on other things.
No.
He
He did set an example. He did set an example. The
How?
example is set in stone, and it's a great example. But the thing that I want you to focus on is that how do we conduct war today? How do we rape people? How do we exploit people? How do we destroy other people's nations? It's done differently, covert. It's done completely differently, but it still goes on. You cannot deny it.
Yeah, but not to the not like how Muhammad did.
Look, when Muhammad and his band were roaming the deserts, they were not more than maybe 10,000 people at the height. They were literally Arab tribes tussling in the sand. It was a very personal experience. Muhammad and his Sahaba, they lived Islam, they experienced Islam. It was a life and death situation for them. We're talking about nation states, 1,400 years after the fact, and now we're saying, oh, look at guys, let's criticize them because we're better than them. You know, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous.
So by that logic, we can't criticize Genghis Khan either. Yeah, is that fine? Is it fair to call him a good man? Is it fair to call Genghis Khan a good man?
Harris,
whoever looks up to Genghis Khan and likes Genghis Khan is more than welcome to like Genghis Khan. But who am I to really be like, oh, I'm better than Genghis Khan. I'm more morally superior than Genghis Khan. Oh, yeah,
you are. Because you are not. Because you're not filing the
just about this point, please.
Okay. Sorry. Please, can I jump in? Please.
Can I say something? Harris, I want to say something, my friend. Listen. Yes. When you, we Muslims, we are morally superior to you. We are morally superior. This is a fact. But the problem.
It's not a fact. It's your claim. It's your claim.
Yes. طيب, let me show you how.
Let me show you
how. I'll ask you.
Sorry, I didn't hear. Fruitful, can you hear that? Can you repeat? What did you say?
We are morally superior to atheists.
I do agree with you. That's true. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yes. I don't see that we have to apologize to any of these things. We find they are there for a wisdom, for a purpose. Some people might accept these purposes because they know them, and other people they will have to accept them because they might not know the premises, but they have to accept it because it comes from God. But for me personally, I see that many of these things you worry about, you attack Islam for, I don't see them to be a problem. In fact, I see them to be a matter of perfection in the religion. I want to say something. Why would you, Harris, let's say that nation states fail and we go back to the old kingdoms, okay? And let's say that somebody took you as a slave. Would you agree that or took your family as slaves, would you agree that, would you say that you would have to do the same to him?
I would like to think that I would set a better example, and the kingdom that I live in, or if I'm the king, I would not be taking slaves. I will be setting the example that, okay, we have put that in the 17th century and we're not going to do it. Even if every kingdom around me is doing the same thing to my people.
Okay. Does that lead to better good? I'm not saying that this is, I see the whole thing in this situation.
Yes.
Would that lead to more good?
Yes, it would. It would leave more good. And I would hope that the future kingdoms will follow in my footsteps, and they would say, okay, we're not going to take slaves, even though 20 other kingdoms are actually doing the same thing.
So if that were the case, do you think that other people would follow your example?
Yeah, most likely. This is how the humanity has progressed so far. We have taken upon the good ideas of other civilizations, and we've built upon them, and we've left the bad ideas.
I said, let's say that we go back to the original status, like there is war and
that's what I said. So if we go back now, let's say in the 22nd century, nation states have fallen apart.
Harris, please.
You asked me a question. Respond.
If you're living 500 years ago, living in let's say
Fruitful, he understands your question. He understands your question, Fruitful.
The point I'm trying to make is we don't. It is always important to know. I think I would do the same as you. I wouldn't do the same, but I wouldn't accept. I wouldn't I wouldn't deal with others unjustly because they deal unjustly with me. You see?
Yeah, no, but
I wouldn't.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, but that was the argument that I think Abdel Aziz built on, that, okay, it's life and death. So if they're taking your women as slaves, so Muhammad was justified to take their women as slaves as well.
No,
so
this is not true. This is not true. No. This is not true. Harris,
what I was saying,
Hang on.
what I was saying.
Wait, please.
I just want to clarify.
This point. I haven't made the point.
What is your point, Fruitful? You take so long to make the point. What is your point, Fruitful?
My point is that Islam works, but other ideologies don't work. Islam
Okay, that's your
works
claim.
because
Okay, we understand that. Fruitful, we understand that. That's your claim. You've got to back that up.
So I was talking about the equality. Fruitful was talking about equality between men and women and all of that. I do not believe that men and women are equal, completely equal. We are equal because we are half of the human race. The woman is half, the man is half. But if you want to compare the man and woman, history, logic, and facts and reality will show us that man is always superior than woman. If you take the big inventors are men. If you take the big political leaders are men. If you take the big thinkers are men. If you take the big people who get Nobel Prize are men. If you take the biggest war leaders are men. So man is always superior than woman, my dear brother, until now. If women want to prove that they're equal to men, they have to show us. They can be inventors. They can be political leaders. They can be in all levels with men. They cannot do that because they're inferior than men. That's a reality. We do accept that. Physically, man is superior. Sexually, man is superior because men can give birth until the age of 90, but for women it is just to 50 years and it's enough for them. They cannot give birth. Okay, so in all levels, man, sorry. Yes, in all levels, man is superior. So we cannot take this idea that men and women are equal. It's an illusion, man. It's not reality. Okay, all meanings. Okay, sorry. Let me continue this point. And about human beings, my dear Fruitful was telling us that we are not equal. Yes, we are equal at when we are 10 days age. We are equal at that age, okay? But now, dear Harris, are you equal with Bill Gates? Are you equal with Tony Blair? Are you equal with Colin Powell? Are you equal with George Bush? Are you equal with all of that big leaders? We are not equal with them.
Can I say something?
In the eyes of law, we are equal.
Okay.
If your logic is so fucking pathetic, now hang on, I have to make this point. My ears are literally bleeding from this bullshit that I just heard. In the eyes of law, everyone is equal. Bill Gates murders me or some other poor person would also have to face.
Sorry, but life is not just about
quality. You're talking about you're talking about physical equality, physical prowess. You're talking about intelligence, etc. We know that men, women, lions, and animals, and lion is more stronger than human. We don't define people's rights on the basis of their physical attributes or on the basis of their intellect. So by your logic, okay, a disabled person should be kicked down the street because he's disabled, he can't think right or whatever he is. You have to understand the difference between rights and the ability or capabilities. They're two different things. No one is making a claim that, okay, well, all men are equal. Well, the two brothers cannot be equal in those aspects. But that doesn't mean that they should not be treated equally in the eyes of the law.
Okay, good. I want to bring in Fruitful because I promised he'd be next. Then we'll have James, and I think after James, we'll end the live show. So Fruitful, you've got 2 minutes. Go.
Yes. God created this world, and everything in this world happens according to his plan. Okay, he is we are the greatest sin is to associate a partner with God, and this is the meaning of corruption. This is corruption. Corruption is when a thing goes out of line with what God loves. You see, God, he subhanahu wa ta'ala, he decrees that many evil things happen, but these things he decrees them for wise purposes which he loves. So I don't see why a religion, okay, would be perfect if it wouldn't conform to this. Yani for a perfect religion would be, yani God would reveal a religion which is perfect for human beings, that makes them deal justly with one another, in the sense that they are in line with what his rights are and what his commandments are. And so, when I look at the issue of slavery, not slavery, the issue of concubinage, this issue, if it were not in the religion, that would be something. Islam would be at a level, it wouldn't be as perfect as it is now. Why is that? Because slavery was a reason that many people became Muslims, and this is one of the manifestations of God's mercy and His justice. You see, this is how I think of where it fits in, where slavery fits into the overarching system. So
Okay.
It's not a problem.